Okay, so Jessica, it's nice to meet you finally, officially, because it's been years. Um, Also, we're gonna get started now. Are you ready?
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, so you are an incredible athlete.
Oh, thank you.
I want to, like, I've been following your story for like almost 10 years now, maybe
Oh
more.
my
Like,
gosh, really?
it's insane. I know it's nuts to think because I just and then I see you and I don't see you on social and then I like whatever. So I'm happy that we're finally able to connect. So thank you for making time.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
Tell a little about your story, how you got about yourself, like whatever you want to share.
Sure. Um, so I am originally a rhythmic gymnast. I started when I was 3.5 years old. My dad put me into that sport, and I ended up competing for the United States.
Really?
Represented the country. Yeah, I competed in world championships, world cups, Pan American championships, Pan American games, and at one point we were training for the Olympics.
How
And
you were what 5, 3 and like at 3.5? No.
well, no, like I mean, like I was
Okay.
training in rhythmic gymnastics until that point, which was 17. I quit at
Wow.
17 years old. So throughout those years, I was uh, basically competing.
Did you love it or did you grow to not love it?
There was a point where I really wanted to quit, but my dad was very like pushy about me staying,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad he did because I was really happy that I stayed because I wouldn't have been able to compete in all the big competitions if I not had stayed a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end is when I was like competing at the world championships and stuff.
Wow,
Um,
that's so. I think I've seen you. Did you post a video about it? Maybe.
I posted a video recently, like for National Gymnastics Day, because I was kind of like nostalgic about like my, my past.
No, but
um,
it's so cool. Hold on. So, what does that entail? Like, what's the difference between that and just gymnastics?
Okay, so artistic gymnastics is like what most people know because it's very big in the United States. So it's like when you see Simone Biles, like
Mm,
that's artistic gymnastics, balance beam, uneven bars,
floor,
their
whatever.
floor routine, yeah,
Mm.
that. Rhythmic gymnastics literally has absolutely nothing to do with that, but it's still called gymnastics. It's very popular in Europe because it originated in Europe. Um, and it's basically like a floor routine, but it entails ballet and contortion, and you have an apparatus that you have to use simultaneously in your routine. So the apparatuses are rope, ribbon, clubs, ball, and hoop.
Wow. Okay, what'd you do? Or all of them? No.
All of them. You
Oh,
have to
you
know all
did.
of them.
Wow.
Yeah, you compete with all of them. Yeah.
Okay, so tell more about that's insane.
So basically, every year they'll switch out one apparatus. So we have four routines that we compete. Um, it will be like either rope, ribbon, clubs, and hoop, or like the next year they'll take out the ribbon and bring in something else. Um, and yeah, you basically just have routines that your coaches create for you, and then you compete. And yeah, I don't know.
That's awesome. You're in Brooklyn, right?
Now I'm in Manhattan,
Oh,
but
nice.
I
Congrats.
born and raised in Brooklyn.
And that's where you did. I've heard of this. I have one girlfriend. She did it. She's from Australia,
Yeah,
Australia, and she grew
Australia.
up doing it. That's the only reason I've ever even heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that popular in the States, but somehow they found a place in Brooklyn, and that's where I started and kept going until I was 17. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so then that led into that's how you found like the calisthenics, like the bars and all that stuff, or
No, not yet. So after I quit, I was like, okay, what do I do with my life? I feel so miserable and sad without having a sport because that's all I ever knew was like school and then training, school
mm-hmm.
and then training. So the training part was gone and it felt very strange. So I bought, not bought, I signed up for a gym and I went to the gym every single day and I did handstands. And I was like, well, since I can't do handstands because like in rhythmic gymnastics we were never allowed to do handstands, but I had that as like a goal of mine to one day be able to do handstands. I just started doing handstands every day, and then I fell in love with handstands, and I was training handstands for like a year, I think. And then at 19 years old, I went and took my first pole class because I saw there was pole like about 10 minutes away from my house. And then I fell in love with that and started going like every other day because I was really sore the next day. Eventually, I managed to go there 4 times a week or 5 times a week until the pole studio was like, hey, do you just want to be a pole instructor now? Because you've been coming here every single day for like a year. It wasn't even a year. I think they actually made me become an instructor like 6 months after.
That is awesome. Well, you must have been. I mean, I see you now, and you're very good. But I'm guessing, like, with all the other things, like, you just took to it.
Yeah, it definitely, the gymnastics part helped a lot.
That is awesome.
But then, like, one of the pole instructors there, like, the owner, she invited me to go to Coney Island, and that's where there's, like, that little bar setup.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw some people doing bar stuff, and we decided to, like, join them. So we did some bar stuff together, and then I posted it on my Instagram, and all of a sudden I started getting messages from like other calisthenics people saying, oh my gosh, that's so cool, you should come train with us. And I was like, hell yeah. And these guys were located in the Bronx, so I started going to the Bronx like 5 times a week and doing calisthenics with them, and then I fell in love with calisthenics. And then I submitted a video like 8 months into calisthenics. I was like 8 months in, or yes, somewhere around there. I submitted a video of me doing calisthenics for the World Championships, because they were doing an online competition for whoever wins the online competition in the States gets to go to the World Championships in Moscow. So I submitted my video, and then I got picked to compete. I won the online competition with my submission.
What'd you do in your submission?
Basically, they ask you to do like a little routine. So the routine has to consist of like statics and flow. So it's like you do some statics, and the statics are like handstands or like a back lever or a planche, whatever. And then the flow is basically like all the fun.
Yeah. The spins and the twists and all that. Yeah.
On the bar. So I did that to music, because you have to do it to music, kind of. Made it all fancy. And I went to the World Championships in Moscow. That was 2015, and I ended up winning the World Championships.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
my God, you make me want to cry, and you give me goosebumps. It's so amazing. How freaking cool is that? And what's your dad have to say about that?
I mean, he's very proud. At first, he was like very against me doing calisthenics. He was like, "Why? Like, you don't need this." And then when I like started getting better, he's like, "Okay, fine, but still." And then when I went and competed and won, he's like, "Oh, okay, maybe this is a good sport for you." And he started becoming like more supportive.
Okay, so then.
So then.
And what do you win? Like money, or like, because you had a free trip, and then.
You just win a trophy.
Oh, okay.
I guess the title.
The rep. Yeah.
But you basically also, if you win the following year, they fly you out for free again to compete. So like you don't have to do the online competition. You immediately get re-invited to the following. So the following year I competed again, and I lost by half a tenth. Well, half a point. Sorry, it was like 0.05 or something.
How? To who?
To Melanie. She's one of like my great calisthenics friends. So I placed second. Apparently, I was told that we tied, and they can't have they can't have 2 people in first place. So they were like reviewing our routines, and I definitely like made a couple of mistakes. So I'm absolutely fine with being second. I was even surprised that I even made it to second. I didn't expect that. So I'm very, very grateful that she won, because she deserved it 100%.
That was her first time winning?
That was her first
so
time.
Maybe that's also why.
Yeah, but also...
She was good.
Yeah, she was, hell yeah. Very good.
Okay, so then...
I kind of started to slow down with the calisthenics. I did compete like a couple of more times after that. Like there was like Battle of the Bars, which was in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then there was like another one that was in France, and then I flew down to Miami and judged a competition. I flew to Egypt and judged a competition. So it's like from there, it slowly slowed down from the competing into judging.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I kind of like stopped training calisthenics. So like, you know, hardcore because.
Did you get injured or?
A little bit. Like there were like some injuries here and there. Like I broke my pinky before my competition in Germany. So I competed with a broken pinky in Germany. Did not do well at all.
Oh. Like you jammed it or something on the bar or?
Yeah, right before the competition, I was like reaching for a bar and it went backwards and it popped completely out of place. And I came off the bar and it's just like a 90-degree angle and I'm like, ah! And then I popped it back in. And then I went to the doctor and they did a scan and they're like, yeah, there's a fracture in there. I was like, wonderful.
Yikes.
But it's okay. I still competed, still wet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, of course I've had like injuries, but that wasn't like the real reason. I kind of just felt like it was taking a toll on my body and the passion wasn't as like strong as it was in the very beginning.
I mean, you won.
Well, yeah, but you know, I still wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
It's just like, it just kind of felt like it was getting a lot.
Yeah. Did you feel it in your elbows or your wrist? Like, where do you feel it? Yeah.
My elbows. I had, my elbow was like killing me for a couple of months because I was doing so many muscle ups that it was just like angry with me. I'm not sure exactly what I had, but it was taking a while for it to recover. And then obviously like the wrists also from doing like handstands all the time, it was taking a toll on my wrists. I messed up my shoulder. I kept like, I believe it's like sublex or something, or sublux, where it like pops out a little bit and pops back in. Every time I do like some kind of swing, it would pop out and then pop back in the movement.
And you never had that happen before? Like from rhythmic gymnastics?
No.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy what your body can take, but also it's when your body's like, hey, stop, like take it easy.
Yeah. So eventually I was like, all right, I kind of want to slow down, but also I felt like it just wasn't the same energy. Like it kind of felt like the motivation was slowly declining after a while, and I wasn't as excited to go and do calisthenics. Like I would go every other day, and then eventually like once a week, and then once every 2 weeks, and then it just kind of like was an occasional thing versus like a
priority.
Yeah.
Okay, so then from there,
I got really into weightlifting. I was like,
okay.
Yeah, let's get big and strong. Let's grow those muscles.
So that was more recently.
Well, I did do weight training like while I was doing calisthenics with those guys, because they would also prioritize like lifting weights to get stronger. But it wasn't like a passion of mine. Like I was just doing it because they told me to do it. I was more excited about the calisthenics part.
Right.
But after doing calisthenics for a while, I was like, all right, let me like find this new passion. And then like I saw like bodybuilders and I was like, wow, they're so beautiful with their muscles. And I was like, holy shit, I want to get jacked.
How can I get those muscles?
Exactly. I was like, I want to get jacked like that. And it's like, yeah, doing calisthenics and pole dancing and handstands, like that's all upper body. So like my upper body was pretty good on the getting strong part. Now my legs needed Jesus.
Well, luckily it's like not easier, but kind of easier for women to build, you know.
The lower half, yeah, for sure. So I started prioritizing legs, and I was doing squats like 4 times a week. I was so sore. I was like, oh, I'm stubborn. I need to do this. I can't be uneven. I can't be lopsided or whatever. So I started prioritizing training legs, and then I got so into weight training that I was like, oh, great, like let's keep going. I kept training, and last year I finally signed up for a bodybuilding competition, and I competed in my first bodybuilding competition. And
I totally missed this whole thing. How was it?
Well,
hold on, did you post about this?
I did on my stories.
Okay, so I definitely missed it. I hardly ever look at stories.
No, it's okay. I just put it on my stories because I was kind of scared of like what people would think because they're like calisthenics, and then now all of a sudden you're into bodybuilding. Like, I didn't want people to think that I was all of a sudden done with all the.
Well, you can never be done. You know, you like are so good at those modalities that like it's with you for the rest of your life, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I was just like worried that because I slowed down on them so drastically that
Mm-hmm.
people would, like lose interest
Yeah.
in me because I'm doing something completely different now.
So how was
Um,
it? How did your tell me
uh,
about your because how what did you compete in?
in figure,
Okay.
like
So that's like a whole did you had a dance, right? Is it figure has a dance?
no,
No.
that's a different one. Yeah, I figure was just it's like there's bikini, which is like the very petite like women, and then the next one is figure, where it's like you're slightly more built,
Okay.
and then from there it's like it goes higher and higher. It's like wellness, and then physique, and then bodybuilding, where they're like super jacked.
Strong. Okay,
Yeah.
so how'd it go?
Uh, it went all right. I mean, I wasn't lean enough, so I placed. There was like 4 or 5 of us. I placed third in the first category, and then the second one was called fitness, and I placed fourth.
Okay,
So,
so what you want to do more of it or you're over it?
I would like to do more, but the hardest part is diet. It's like I can train every single day, no problem, but getting myself to like dial in and completely eliminate, you know, all the good snacks
Yeah.
and
I'm on the seafood diet.
I
That's
see the food and I eat it. Yep.
this one. That's not in my favorite as I get older. And now that I have kids, everything's just like way
Yeah.
different. So I feel you. Um, but if you get like a nutritionist or a coach or something, it's easy. You just do what they say.
Yes, I have a coach and he does tell me what to do, but I'll walk by a bakery and I'm like, "Oh, a Nutella cupcake."
It's staring at me.
It's staring right at me. I mean, I have to go in. It's like, oops, I tripped into the store.
It fell in my mouth.
Fell in my mouth. I chewed it. I inhaled it.
so, so do you have something like on the forefront, something you want to do or like with that, or you're just like, okay, you're just seeing what happens?
It At the moment, I've kind of just been relaxing.
Because
um,
you graduated, like since I've been following you and since we've
yeah,
kind of been in touch the last however many years. So
yeah,
now you're working,
yeah.
which takes priority, and you fit in training when you can.
Hmm.
And then you fit in each of these, like, all the food prep. Are you food prepping? What are you doing on that front?
My food prep is like I'm super lazy, so it's like the least amount of work I have to do, the better. Like I even bought microwavable rice because I'm too lazy to just cook the damn rice. But if I throw it in the microwave, it's so much easier. So my food prep is like a bunch of hard-boiled eggs and like salmon,
Yeah.
like the strips, so that I just eat a bunch of salmon and hard-boiled eggs and rice and frozen broccoli that I can throw in the microwave and a bunch of protein bars and protein shakes and protein oatmeal because I make my oatmeal with protein. And then of course the sugary snacks.
Yes.
That's my biggest issue. It's like I can stick to the diet, just in between there will be a lot of snacking on
Yeah.
sugar.
I feel that sugar thing. I love sugar so much.
Yep, me too.
Okay, so now what?
Now I am just trying to get myself back on track, and by back on track I mean like I feel like there has been like 2 or 3 months where I've just been completely kind of like lost with what direction I want to go in. Meaning I don't know if I like actually want to go into the bodybuilding again or if I want to keep doing calisthenics. Like there are times where I like fight with myself to figure out like what am I doing? Right now I've just been like going to the gym lifting weights, but then there's like a part of me that really misses doing handstands because I used to go to the gym just to do handstands, and putting those together feels kind of like, well, I got to choose this or this. Am I going to do that today or am I doing both or whatever? So I'm always kind of in my head and don't know what I want to do.
No, it totally makes sense. Because I think that there's so many parts of your body you can train. So that in itself, aside from the handstands or the pole or all these other components of it, like just weight training can take up 7 days, and then you're like, oh well, now I need a day to rest or like active recovery or whatever. So I totally get that. With I think going back to what you're saying about being in your head, and with you having accumulated such a big following, how do you, I think, like, because I know that you've ebbed and flowed with, you share a lot, like all content of your, your pole routines, your handstands, and then like, are you sharing your weight training or a little bit? Like, not so much? Like, I mean, you really think people are gonna be like, oh, I don't like this, I'm gonna unfollow? Or like, and then, so that's one aspect. So my other question or piece to it is like, what do you want to accomplish with your social media, right? Because as we spoke about in the like before was, so you had that ad that you did with Nike a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you want more of that, or like sponsors, or like, how do you, because I see it with men and women figuring out a way to monetize their social media page. Like, what is your goal with it? Because could you have, instead of working, could you be just making income from your social media? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I post my weightlifting only on my stories for now because I feel like it's not something everyone cares to see. It's just like videos of me like squatting or like
Everybody wants to see that. What are you talking about?
I don't know. But yeah, I just didn't really like post my weight training journey much on my social media because I felt like it was never that interesting, and I felt more of my followers were there to watch me do like the cool acrobatic stuff or whatever. In terms of monetizing on my Instagram, I have made no money off of Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I have a big following, but the companies that reach out to me are usually companies that are either trying to get me to post something with like their t-shirt or something, and they're like, what do I get for this? They're like, you get the t-shirt. I'm like, I don't want your freaking t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like, not gonna pay the bills, sorry.
Yeah.
Or it will be brands that completely do not align with my social media. So it'll be like, oh, like, can you promote our like new foundation? I'm like, I don't even post my face on social media. Like, why would I promote your foundation? You will never see me do like a skincare or a makeup routine because that's just not the kind of page I have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of been dry in in that area. Like, of course, I'd love to be sponsored by like a clothing brand like Nike or Adidas or something where they will, send me clothes, and like I wear Nike and Adidas, or like I wear a lot of the brands. I would love to just wear them in my videos and promote their brand. But the last time I've spoken to Nike, like after that ad, apparently they only sponsor like if you're a competitive athlete, and I wasn't a competitive athlete anymore, so it's not like they were interested in sponsoring someone that wasn't competing anymore.
Yeah, that's super weird.
So I mean, I understand, like, they're very big brands. I don't expect them like to do that, but I know there's like other ones like Gymshark and like Lululemon, I believe, like sponsor some people, or even Puma. I didn't really make an effort to reach out to them because I don't really like the way they advertise, because sometimes it can be like too much. For example, the people that I know that are sponsored by Gymshark, they are required to post like several times a week, and I don't want to like
have stipulations on what you do.
Yeah, and being forced to try on outfits and like pose for the camera. I'm not that type of influencer. I don't really like to stand and pose in different outfits and like show them the outfit. Like, I'd rather just be doing something in the outfit, and if somebody likes it, cool, and if not, then whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because it's like so many people have taken to social media for like, oh well, I want to make money or I want to get famous or I want to whatever. So it's so easy to like lose that sense of like, oh, I enjoy this. I like the community and the interaction and learning things or whatever, using it as a tutorial or some sort of like platform to better or whatever. Yeah, so it's very interesting.
Yeah. I also just, I feel like I'm just like so stubborn because I know most people would be like, who cares? Just like make money. Who cares what you post? Just like post it, make the money, and like don't worry about the followers. Followers, some will hate it, some will love it. I'm like, yeah, but that's just like what Instagram has been lately. It's like 95% ads and then like 5% genuine,
Mm-hmm.
real like content. And most of the content is like clickbait, and it's you press it and it's they're always trying to sell you something, or it's just like fake or whatever. And yeah, and like the algorithm is off, and I just lately I've just not been into Instagram at all because of that. It lost its like, it used to be all about like creatives and pictures and cool unique videos, and now it's just the same
Saturated.
ad.
Do you have
Yeah.
anywhere else that you post your stuff or you're just meh?
Sometimes I'll repost stuff on my TikTok. I actually prefer
What is
TikTok
your
'cause
TikTok? What's your handle?
it's the same as my Instagram.
Same?
Yeah, I kept it the same so that way it's like easier
Yeah.
to me. I don't get as many views or likes on there, and that's fine. I just
On
posted
TikTok, really?
Yeah, at first I did, but then because I stopped posting for a while, now it's like back to like very low views. It'll be like 200 views or something, and then the videos from like when I first started posting would be like 600,000 views. So it's just, yeah, I think it's, unless you have to like ride the wave, or supposedly it's like you have to ride the wave and keep posting, 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 so that way your videos are always being viewed. But again, I'm like, I don't really care anymore. It's just I've been
It's a whole
posting.
job.
Yeah, and it feels like you stop enjoying it when you start really falling into that rabbit hole of just like post, 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 shove it in their face, go, 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 and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, but it's good that you can stick to what, because you have a job and you have income and you don't need that. That would just be, and maybe
Additional.
eventually you'll find like a partner or a company or a brand or whatever that aligns with your views and then it would be a win-win.
Yeah, just
So
waiting patiently. No,
they're out there somewhere.
yeah, I'm not in a rush. I'm more focused on just working on myself right now because that's more important to me than like, yeah, posting all the time.
The outward facing stuff. Okay, so this is a whole pivot,
Okay.
working on yourself. What um you I'm laughing not because it's funny, because it's not. So
Okay.
I've had some women on that I mentioned who are like, talk about life after loss. So your life after loss, your mom, and you've talked about her a little bit. Like, you talk about her, you miss her, obvious fuckingly. Like, how couldn't you? Um, what? How do you get through growing up without a mom?
Well, I guess in a way I can say I got, I mean, it's terrible like word to say, but like lucky that I didn't lose my mom at a super young age. I lost my mom at 23, so in a way it's like I'm already a young adult,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously still not a grown up. Always growing. Um, I mean, it was very interesting. It definitely made me view life completely different, and I started to just kind of, I guess when I lost my mom, the first thing I needed to do was like go work out, because I felt like I just needed to like get out of my system everything that I was experiencing with her loss. And I realized that through working out, it just helped me release all the like bottled up energy and pain that I was feeling. And that has helped me substantially with her loss, because it felt like if I just sat at home all day, I would just like grieve and be in pain all the time, which is fine. Of course, you want to sit with your emotions and like let it, um, you know, be a part of you, but you don't want to be consumed by it. And that's like the only thing that you focus on is like the loss. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was watching the Great British Baking Show, and it's not on its own. I don't know how that happened. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Can you tell I love sugar?
I'm waiting for my dog to start crying and barking because he wants in here, so it's okay.
Yeah, but like with the years that were coming, like as like time went on, I don't know how I cope with it. I cope with it in the sense that I know that she would want me to keep moving forward and not just, completely give up on myself. And what I like to think about is, if I do this thing, I know she'll be proud. And it's like this thing that I would think about all the time. Like when I was preparing for the bodybuilding competition, for example, I was thinking about it, and like sometimes like I have her picture on my TV stand. Sometimes I'd like look at the picture. I'd be like, "Hey, Mom, are you proud of me? I did it. I competed. I did it. I did a competition." Or when people would tell me, because now that I'm older, I guess I starting to look more like her. People would be like, "Wow, you're like a carbon copy of your mom," and it's like it makes me start thinking. I'm like, "Mom, are you proud of me? I did it." It's a weird way to think about it, but it's like I tell myself that I'm always carrying her with me. And there was this one thing when I lost my mom, I was reading a lot about like how to cope with loss of like your parent. And the one thing that really stuck with me is, you were created inside your mom. So everything that that you are came from your mother. So your skin, your hair, everything was made from her body, from inside, like from her body. So it's like essentially somebody like commented, and it just stuck with me. It's like when you touch your skin, it's like you're touching your mom. She's always with you.
That's so nice. I never thought of that. That's like,
yeah, because you came out of her. Like she created, I mean, of course your father, like the dad created as well, participated in the creation, but I'm saying like the creation.
She grew you.
She grew you. She like from her cells, from her blood, from everything.
Everything.
So it's kind of a cool concept, and I was like, oh my God, it's like I'm touching my mom. So she's always with me, and that's just kind of how I learned to cope with it. I mean, every day is different, but I try my best to think of it as like everything I'm doing is kind of to hopefully make her proud or be happy of who I'm growing up to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of my girlfriends, she lost her husband recently, and they're young in their 30s. And she said that every day is literally just like, it was just his year anniversary of his passing. And she said that she wakes up and she'll just cry. Like, she said that grief is or I can't remember what it was. I'll have to find it and send it to you, but it's like, love is, if you love, you have to be prepared to grieve. Because for whatever reason, when love is done, or when they pass, there's always going to be grief, and it goes on forever. It's never like, and I'm sure that with your mom it's just even stronger, that it's like you just learn to live with it and sit with it, rather than, there's no getting over it. Because she was saying that now that she like kind of started seeing someone, and then she's like she talks to her boyfriend about her widower, whatever it's called, and she was saying like he just listens and he is totally confident enough in himself in their relationship, whatever you want to call it, where he can like be okay with her talking about him. Mm-hmm. And it's not like competition, like he's okay with it. And he's like, so it's very interesting to hear like how every day is different, and every day like you just live with it and you figure out how to just wake up and keep going and keep living, essentially.
Yeah. It's like, it's been like five years since my mom passed, and to this day, it's every single day I think about her. Like, not a day goes by where I don't think about her. Not a day goes by where she doesn't cross my mind. And it's kind of interesting because it's, I don't even think about most people that are alive like that. You know what I mean? So it really does, like you said, like you live with that grief every single day, and every single day I think about her. And sometimes it can be sad moments, sometimes it could be happy, sometimes it could be like from moments when I was a kid, sometimes it's questions that I feel like I wish I could have had answered, and
yeah, it's nuts. Something else, a whole different topic.
Yeah, no problem.
Because I'm so bouncy. Supplements. Do you take any supplements?
I mean, just like creatine, because my coach told me to take creatine. But I've never taken creatine before until like this year, and he was like, "You should take creatine." And I'm like, "Okay."
If you say so, sure.
Yeah, so I just drink creatine and take protein powder.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you're trying to gain, you should definitely be on protein.
Yeah. Or at least at this point, I'm just trying to maintain the muscle mass. But yeah, definitely protein powder and creatine are my only supplements. I should be taking like vitamin D3 and fish oil and magnesium and zinc, but I'm so lazy about that like I'll remember one day, and then like 3 weeks later I'm like, oh shit, I didn't take D3 for like a month. I should probably take that again or whatever.
Yeah, it's I feel like as you get older, it's becomes more of a priority, right? Like, because when I was actually just talking with someone about this, how like when you're younger, your body's just so easy. Like, you're fit, you look good, like, it's all there, it's so easy. And then you wear whatever you want to wear. Like, you can just, I mean, if you're, active and fit, or if you're not, whatever, that's a whole nother thing. But like, you can wear whatever you want and you look good. And then as you get older and after you have like a kid, like, you gotta get your body back. And then you get your body back and you're like, wow, like, my body's incredible. Like, it is so cool. It can do the coolest things. It can grow a human. It can nurture a human. It can do all these things. And then, like, the one thought is, I should be modest because my body is so amazing. I want to keep it to myself. This is one like thought process of it. And the other thought process is, oh, but I want to show it off because it's doing these incredible things and I'm so proud of myself and I'm so proud of it that everyone should see it because, like, look what it's doing and look how it's better than ever thing, like, thought. And so it's like, as you get older, and there's a lady who I follow who's like, I want to say she's 60 or like in her 60s. And she totally shows it. And she's like worked hard for it. And she's like incredible. And on one hand, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And it's like, good on you for, you got it, so flaunt it. But also the other mindset of it. And so I'm like, as you work harder for it, you want to show it more. Or do you? Or you, I don't know. It's very interesting anyhow.
Yeah, for sure. You get excited. You're like, oh my god, look at how much my body is changing, and it's like amazing that you can do that. And it just feels exciting to want to show it off to everybody. Like, look at me.
When you compete, like in your this competition, what do you wear?
Sorry, you froze for a second. Say that again.
When you compete in your like this competition? What do you wear? Do you wear like a bikini? No, a bath. Like what do you?
For which one? Bodybuilding?
Yeah,
It's like a bikini with like a thong because you have to show the butt cheeks so that they can
your
see
whole
the
glutes,
muscle
all the
and then
glutes.
the butt.
How was
Yeah.
it? Is that awkward? You're comfortable with it? What do you? Because you're not like particularly, let me show you what I got. Like you know
Yeah.
how on social
Um,
media.
it was very interesting. I feel like because I've done uh like so many photo shoots where I'll be like topless and I'll have to like cover, or
Mm.
like if I have to wear like a thong, or sometimes even a completely nude shoot. For some reason, I felt fine. I felt almost like I was doing gymnastics again in a weird way, because in gymnastics you wear a leotard and it's like kind of similar.
Mm-hmm.
You're, kind of, your butt cheeks are not out, but almost. Sometimes you'll like do
Yeah.
like a split leap jump and all of a sudden whoop,
You?
it
Yep.
goes straight into your butt cheeks. Um, but yeah, I mean, surprisingly, I felt fine. I was just more nervous about getting the posing right, that I wasn't even really focused on how I was dressed. But definitely, like walking out on stage with like these like beaming lights, because it's like an auditorium, and all of a sudden there's like a bunch of people there just sitting there staring at you. It's just, yeah, a part of me was like, okay, hopefully they like the show.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Here we go. And I'm
Good.
doing it.
And I'm doing my little pivot. Look at my butt.
And you had a coach that with that for that part?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the most surprising part of that? Like, what was something unknown that you were like, oh, this is surprising?
The routine. So it's like, yeah, I'm not actually doing a routine, but technically you are. You have to like walk out, then you have to pose, then you have to walk to the center, then you pose, then you walk forward, then you do like the 3 poses, then you walk to the other side, do the 3. And I was like, I had no idea I had to do that. I literally just memorized the 3 poses, but I didn't know there was like a whole little routine, and you had to pause and you had to flex, and then apparently when you flex you have to like laugh so that way your abs can show. So it's like you're smiling but you're like ha 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 ha, but it's like show your abs. And it was like a whole thing that you just, I guess, don't know until you experience it for the first time. And yeah, it was a it was a hard lesson. I was like, holy shit, there's so much that I did not know, and I'm just walking out on stage. There was actually a point where I walked out on stage and I had to do the first pose, and I just stood there. And I stood there, and I stood there, and then it dawned on me, I'm like, idiot, you gotta keep walking and then do another pose. I just stood there. I was like, they're like, and hi Jessica, and I'm like, hi. And I'm just posing. I was like, oh fuck, I gotta walk. So I kept walking, and I just messed up so bad. It was just whatever, fine.
I mean,
But,
it's
yeah.
not. You're learning. That's all it was. You weren't messing up. You were learning.
Yeah. But in terms of the overall experience, the hardest lesson I learned was how hard it is to stick to this freaking diet. How hungry you are. It's insane. It's absolutely. I mean, towards the end, I was so into I was so into the process that I almost was no longer hungry, because I was just so excited. It was like the final week. I was like, yeah, what if I like even skip this meal? Maybe I'll be even leaner for the show. It's like, you start going a little crazy in your head, and you're like, all right, relax. But it was almost like getting more and more exciting to not eat that much before the competition. But yeah, like I even remember the night before, I went and walked on the treadmill for 2 hours, because I was like, just in case, like that was my brain process, just in case. And I was like, just in case I won't have dinner, just in case. Like it's an interesting, it's interesting how your brain operates. Like when you're getting so close to the competition, you start actually doing literally everything you can to be like perfect for it.
Is it? I mean, I'm familiar with it, but it's not something I've ever done. Is it something that, with that, instead of doing like the last little bit, let's just skip dinner, let's do that, like it's better to do it further out so that you have longer, or you should always be, eating? Because I know like the last kind of big chunk of time you kind of have to dehydrate yourself so that your muscles are really popping, or is that not this competition?
So apparently, yeah, that's what I thought too. But my coach said the opposite. The last week, I had to drink even more water.
Oh
So
wow.
instead of drinking a gallon a day, I was drinking a gallon and a half a day for the
Wow.
last week. Yeah, and it just like flushed everything out. But I had to eat less salt, so that way it doesn't stay in my body. So I'm not like bloated.
Yeah.
Um, but then the day of the competition, he fed me Sour Patch Kids. He was literally shoving them in my mouth before I was
You're
walking
like,
out on stage.
yes,
That it
yeah.
gives you like a little pump. But yeah, it's much better to start the process like a little bit more far out. But I started the process a little bit too late. Like I was working with the coach for a year, but my diet was never on track. Like I couldn't get myself to lean out to the point where he was satisfied. So the last 2 months, I finally like dialed in on the diet, and it wasn't enough time for me to lean out to the point that I should have been lean for the competition. But I tried my best. But the lesson learned: start sooner. I mean, yeah, start like earlier on, so that you don't have to like go at a crazy deficit. And also, being on that diet is pretty darn hard. A lot of discipline and self-control.
Totally. It's so, and I think that I would guess that a lot of people who don't know anything about it, they see it and it's like, oh yeah, you just don't eat or whatever. But it's not. It's like really being disciplined with what you're eating and when you're eating, and where you. I'm guessing you were weighing everything and counting your macros and stuff, which is a whole nother time consuming thing.
Yeah, it's like you turn into like some chemist that you're just standing there and you're like, one of this, little bit of this, potion of like,
Totally. Well, and you can't really have a life outside of that, which is why I think like I have a couple of girlfriends who, I think the one I used to train CrossFit with, we used to coach together, and she recently got into it. I'll have, if you have any interest, she's local also, and I think that in her first show she got her pro card or something. She did really good, and but she had like all the muscle from CrossFitting, like she was a top, like a regional athlete, and she's just become obsessed, and she looks incredible. But like I can, like her boyfriend is doing that, like that's their whole life.
Yeah.
And I think that you have, with anything that you want to dominate, essentially, as like when you were doing the rhythmic gymnastics, or you were doing whatever you were doing, you were just completely obsessed, and you have to be with whatever it is if you want to dominate like that. So that's so interesting. Like, I think because people don't know, like just regular people obviously don't know that what it entails to like look that way.
Yeah.
Because you're in fitness, and I would guess that, because I remember I used to get this all the time, and I'm curious if you get it, where women come in and they're like, well, I don't want to get too muscly. Like, I don't want to be too, and I'm like, believe me, you can't.
Yeah.
Like, it would be really, really hard. It will take you years to look like that, or whatever it is. Do you get that?
All the time. Every day. On a regular basis. Every time I get a new client coming in, they're like, I don't want to look bulky. I really don't want to have like these big muscly arms. And I'm like, trust me, that would take a lot of effort for you to get there. Yeah, but like, how there are some girls that look really bulky, and I'm like, first of all, those girls are probably trying to get like really muscly and strong. They lift very heavy weights, and when I say heavy, I mean like more than 10-pound dumbbells. Okay, substantially
more than 20, more than 30.
30, like literally 60s, 70s, like heavy. I also have this one client where I will give her 12.5-pound dumbbells instead of 10-pound dumbbells, and she'll be like, no, I'm not using those because they're gonna make me bulky. And I'm like,
please
get this out of your head. I promise you will not look bulky at all. If anything, like, you will look leaner because you're gonna build muscle and reduce some of the fat, and then you'll feel more like your arms look toned. Anyway,
It's
it's
interesting,
okay.
right?
Yeah, I'm grateful for the clients I have now because most of them, except for that one client, I'm really trying to
You're
get
working
through.
on it.
I'm working on it. I'm like, sometimes I will sneak in a heavy weight in there and she doesn't notice, and I'm like, yes,
Win.
doing it. A win. A win. Or sometimes she'll be like, did you make this heavier? I'm like, no, I didn't. What are you
No,
talking
I
about?
did not.
But yeah, I'm grateful for the clients that I have now who are like eager to get heavier, like lift heavier. And sometimes we'll like be doing something. She's like, "Is that heavier than last week?" I'm like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Yes, add more." I'm like, "Hell yeah, let's go!" I get so excited. I'm like, "Ah, they grow up so fast."
Yeah, those are like the gems, the rare finds. They're so good.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. It gets me excited when people are more like open-minded about lifting weights and don't feel like they have to listen to the nonsense that's being spread about lifting weights, which now seems a lot less. Now it's like everybody's saying to lift weights. Thank goodness. But
Totally.
years before that, it was very popular to just do like only Zumba classes or only aerobics, or
Yeah, it's
not that
crazy.
there's anything wrong with that, but it's like you can't just do that.
Well, and I
You
think
can,
that with women specifically, like we need to increase our bone density, and to increase your bone density, especially as we
yes,
get older, like you have to
weight
lift.
bearing exercise.
Like you
Yes.
have to. It's for so many, aside from bone density, like your metabolic health, your heart health. Like there's so many reasons that
Mm-hmm.
like it's like a no brainer not to, and
Yeah.
it's so wild how like thankfully, as you're saying, society has become making it like, oh yeah, you want to be strong, but it's weird because it's like there's so many women, and I'm sure men, but women specifically, who are like, oh, I want to just get lean, and I'm like, okay, you can get lean by lifting heavy weights, like,
Yeah. You'll actually get there faster if you lift weights than doing like some
yeah,
cardio
like
class.
you want to increase your muscle, and that will basically like try to push out the fat a little bit, and then you're gonna see that like
Mm-hmm.
lean, whatever you're looking for. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some of my clients, when they were first coming in, they're like, I just want to do Pilates. I'm like, not to like burst your bubble, but you're not going to get lean doing Pilates. I'm sorry. Pilates is great, but it's not a way for you to get to your goal body. And right now, what you're telling me is that your goal body is to be lean, lose 20 pounds of like body fat, and then you want to see visible abs. I'm like, guess what? That comes from weight training,
Yeah,
not
totally.
Pilates.
Totally. And the other thing that I think is so frustrating is when I see people just doing like crunches and they're like sit ups. And I'm like, okay, this is not your abs. Like, you're going to hurt yourself. Stop
Yeah,
it right now. Obviously, you see how
yeah,
passionate I am about this because I'm like,
yeah,
do a deadlift, do a
yeah,
squat, do something, do a Bulgarian split, something that's going to really work your core, and
yes,
cut that crap out in the kitchen because that way you're going to see abs.
yep, 100%. I do the same thing. Like my clients are like, why aren't we doing abs? I'm like, we've been doing abs.
This
Guess
whole
what?
time.
That deadlift that you were doing, those squats, all the things that we've been working on, they work your core too. You don't have to sit there and do your, little crunches on the mat.
Or bicycle crunches.
Yeah, or
And
your
then they're
bike.
just
Yeah,
cranking their neck, and you're like, please stop. You're going to hurt yourself.
yeah.
Yeah. What do you train people outside or not really? Do you do like calisthenics, pole, handstand, any of
Okay.
that training stuff, or only at your facility?
Um, so I train people out of like a main gym, but also privately. So I'll go
Do
to
you want to
my
tell
client.
that main gym? I'm not sure. I
Oh,
mean,
sure.
because we're in
Yeah.
the same city,
I
so I'm there's definitely people that watch that are here also.
Yes, I am an Equinox trainer. Yeah, so I work at Equinox, but I also have private clients that I will go to like their apartments, or I'll take them to like an independent gym where you can train clients without having to have a membership.
Mhm.
And I have in the past trained people outside, like we've done handstands outside, calisthenics. Like during COVID, I actually did calisthenics classes outside
Oh,
for
that's
a little bit.
awesome.
But yeah, since then I really have been just focusing on Equinox and the independent gyms and just going to like my clients' home gyms.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so if anyone's interested, we're gonna put your social media here. I'll do like a
Okay.
little snippet. It's Russian Red.
Yeah, Russian.R3d.
Okay. And are you anywhere else? Website, other social medias, anything else you're working on, whatever else you want to share?
No, I'm mainly on Instagram and on, I guess, TikTok. But TikTok, I've just like kind of been doing for fun. But I will definitely answer any questions if somebody messages through TikTok as well.
I don't know anything about TikTok. That's like below my generation. That's like I'm a little, even though I should probably get there. Um, what
Oh,
else?
that's fun.
Anything else you'd like to share?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm I'm okay.
You're the cutest. I think that's it. See you.